Imagine a world where we can provide meals for millions of people. Imagine being able to eradicate 35 million car emissions overnight. Imagine companies saving over $200 billion per year. Imagine you having an extra $500 in your pocket. Imagine if we stopped imagining and started implementing. Each year, 80 billion pounds of wholesome food is thrown away within the United States, while 1 in 9 Americans experience food insecurity. Wasted food is the biggest occupant composing American landfills. It consumes 10% of the U.S. energy budget and over 20% of U.S. land. Despite devoting such astronomical resources to food, according to the National Resource Department, we waste 40% of our food supply. By examining the process, we are able to examine the inefficiencies in the system by identifying issues and find solutions to the problem. Emerging opportunities arise through highlighting inefficiencies in every stage, from farm to fork to landfill. On farms alone, over 6 billion pounds of fruits and vegetables go unharvested every year, taking up the space of over 18 million acres. That's a lot of acres, especially in considering in some parts of Georgia, they lose more than $11,000 per acre.
In the United States, there are right under 30,000 square miles of food that goes unharvested on farms annually. For context, this is more space than Massachusetts, New Jersey, Hawaii, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Delaware combined.
Shortages of labor also result in unwarranted waste. A study in Washington found that over 25% of their apple market went to waste primarily due to being understaffed, according to the Wall Street Journal. Steve Nunley, overseer of Pride Packaging, stated, "I'm down 40% of the workers I need. While he has close to 200 workers, he ideally needs closer to 400. With insufficient supply of workers in Washington available, roughly 25% of Washington's apple supply goes unharvested. It's not just due to labor shortages. Of the various reasons for food waste, the shallowest reason is due to ugliness. Potato farmers throw away up to 1/3 of their overall potato crop every year for aesthetic reasons alone. This equals 20 billion pounds of good, healthy produce left uneaten because it doesn't look pretty within the United States." Really? You're gonna tell me that's an ugly looking potato looking like a heart? Forget about it. And it's not just potatoes. According to the BBC, more than a third of fruits and vegetables get tossed every year just because they're too ugly. If produce fails to make the grade for size, shape, or color, it's deemed quote-unquote ugly and deemed unsellable. And more importantly, they still have the same nutritional value, and yes, they'll still have the same taste. To plant crops builds a future. To use the crops saves our future. The United States wastes over 10 trillion gallons of water from food going to waste. Agriculture is the world's biggest user of fresh water, accounting for 70% of all fresh water use around the world. The majority of states across America are in a drought, and the problem is compounded significantly across the globe. Every almond takes 3 gallons of water to produce. Each glass of milk takes 49 gallons of water, and a pound of beef takes 1,800 gallons of water. The food on your plate today was grown with fresh water, and the average person in America wastes over 26,000 gallons worth per year in tossing just 6 common food items in the trash, including lettuce, almonds, apples, tomatoes, eggs, and beef. Food waste ends up reducing 1/4 of our water supply in the form of uneaten food. Wasting food not only wastes the water, but soil nutrients, time, energy, and resources as well. Reducing this would provide an extra 50 gallons of water to over 9 billion people.
The key word in fast food is fast. Ultimately, despite the intricate flow charts, it's really simple. 1. Guessing at the order. 2. The restaurant prepares the order. 3. The order gets provided. Period.
To keep it quick, frozen isn't fast. When your order gets submitted, If it was prepared from scratch, it would take much longer. They use food that was already on the grill. Otherwise, all your burgers would be coming out rare, and your chicken give you botulism. Nobody has time for that. It's then they put the finishing toppings over it, all leading to a quicker turnaround time. And this works, except for the fact that $87 million worth of food is thrown away every day in fast food restaurants because of the overmaking of food in the name of efficiency. So this raises the question, if fast food chains keep throwing away $87 million worth of food away every single day, why do they keep doing it? Good question. Using the law of averages, they can see about how many customers come in during any given window of time. These chains operate under the notion that it is better to have too much food than too little. A restaurant can never know exactly how many people will come in during any given window of time, but they have to over-prepare in the case they experience a rush. In the best case scenario, the exact same number of customers will come in every 10 minutes. So they will be able to sell exactly the number of prefabricated products they assembled hot and ready. In the case the number is continuously met, the restaurant will have to increase the amount produced and ready to go to cut down on the wait, just in case. Otherwise, it's no longer fast food, just food. The restaurant across the street will have food ready almost immediately, where the fries are just as salty and the ketchup tastes the same. So ultimately, they'd rather prepare extra food, even though less than 1.5% of food gets donated, because it's easier to have some extra inventory loss than it is to lose customers to competitors. But it raises the question, is there a way that they could use it as opposed to lose it to make a difference in the community? Good question. The contribution of food waste emissions to global warming is equivalent to 87% of global road transport emissions. Findings from the United Nations show that if food waste emissions were ranked as a country, they would rank only behind China and the US in terms of global emissions. Further, food waste is the largest source of waste to end up in landfills, both more than paper and plastic. The carbon footprint of waste is greater than that of the airline industry and contributes to 11% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. Food that goes uneaten in the US composes a quarter of all methane emissions. In fact, food now represents the single largest component of municipal solid waste reaching landfills, where it gradually converts to methane, the greenhouse gas over 20 times more powerful in global warming than carbon monoxide. Only 3% of food that is wasted is put into compost. The vast majority ends up in landfills. Each and every day, 118 million pounds of food from grocery stores gets tossed away. Walk into any store and you will undoubtedly find the inscriptions of best before dates, sell by dates, expires by dates, all of which have nothing to do with the FDA. In fact, when you look on the FDA website, it states most date labels are not based on exact science. Manufacturers generally apply labels at their own discretion and for a variety of reasons. The most common is to inform consumers and retailers of the date up to which they can expect the food to retain its desired quality and flavor. While manufacturers are prohibited from placing false or misleading information on the label, they are not required to obtain agency approval of the voluntarily quality-based date labels they use or specify how they arrived at the date they've applied. With no federal rulings and food dates at the discretion of food companies, we must ask the question, do food companies have anything to gain by having shorter sell-by dates? As explained by experts who did not want to be named. Instead, it is chosen in a lab where people base it off the freshness of the food. For instance, on a 10-point scale, if the food feels as though it is below a 7, they will decide the food cannot sit out longer than that. In a quote by the Institute of Food Technologists president, he states, quote, "If it's 6.0, would most people still find it reasonably good? Absolutely. But companies want people to taste their products as best they can at the optimum, because that's how they maintain their business and their market shares. So, based on the findings of those few pieces of fruit, it will dictate millions of pieces being thrown out at a later time. It doesn't mean the fruit isn't good, it's just less crisp than it was previously." I'm Austin. I'm the founder of FoodFull. Starting in 2022, across California, organic food that could previously be thrown away now instead needs to be put in the compost for restaurants and grocery stores. Either way, here at FoodFull, we think that's a waste of your good quality food and would rather have it go to feed people in need. 1 in 9 people face food insecurity across the US, and when you throw your good quality food away, that's throwing your good quality money away too, in the terms of inventory loss. We here at FoodFull have built the solution to 1, save your food, to also save you money in tax breaks, and most importantly, serve people in need. I'm Austin, and here at FoodFull, we're the app eliminating food waste one meal at a time. Using our app, you're able to upload whatever food that you have that would otherwise get tossed, and you're able to donate it to save money on your taxes while at the same time with zero liability. And you just send that at the click of a button, and nonprofits are able to see it and come pick it up. Why there's no liability is because we operate under the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act, where food, even if it's past its expiration date, or the packaging is messed up, or a bevy of other factors, you're still able to donate without liability to 501c3 organizations. We work exclusively with 501c3 organizations, so there's no liability on your end, and you're able to save your food, you're able to save money, and you're able to serve people by getting them fed.